emerging leaders, ladies and gentlemen, it is with profound honor and deep sense of responsibility that I stand before you today at the National Emerging Leaders Economic Forum 2024. Our theme, Leading for Sustainable Economic Growth in a Multipolar World, the role of emerging leaders, is not just timely, but essential for the current global landscape. We are gathered here today to discuss leadership in a world that is increasingly complex, where power is dispersed across multiple regions, and where the role of emerging leaders like us cannot be overstated. Firstly, let us take a moment to reflect on the nature of the multipolar world we live in. The traditional structures of global dominance are shifting. Today, influence is no longer centralized in one or two superpowers. Instead, we are witnessing the rise of multiple economic centers across different regions. Africa, Asia, Latin America, and Eastern Europe are increasingly playing pivotal roles on the global stage. This evolution presents both opportunities and challenges. The opportunity lies in the diversity of growth potential, while the challenge is how we, as emerging leaders, navigate this complex terrain. Secondly, when we talk about sustainable economic growth, we must recognize that it goes beyond the numbers and metrics. We often use the measures success. It is not just about GDP growth or stock market performance. Sustainable growth considers the environment, the equitable distribution of wealth, and the long-term impact of our economic decisions. As emerging leaders, it is our duty to ensure that the growth we champion is not only robust, but also inclusive and sustainable. We must ask ourselves, are we creating systems that benefit all, or are we widening the gap between the rich and the poor? Are we promoting growth that is environmentally responsible or socially equitable?
No society progresses without constructive criticisms. And so although we have our own issues and rants and things we want to talk about, today why don't we spend time talking about some of the things that we can do within our own means, so that by virtue of doing these very things, we are able to scale up solutions that helps us address the constant problems that is actually affecting our society. You heard them say a lot of things, but those things really mean nothing, except for the fact that there was once a time where a young boy decided that as part of contributing to society, he must first of all learn to present value to society. Because the fact that you are a citizen of Ghana gives you a voice as a person who belongs to the nation Ghana. But a nation doesn't recognize you simply because you have a voice. It also wants to know that behind that voice is a value. And so my question to you this morning is that, as much as we alter those criticisms, the question is, how much value are we willing to add to our lives so that our contribution to society will not be forgotten in the books of history? I want you to mull over that for a second. You see, in our pursuit, we make decisions and choices. But those choices are as important as the very things that we want to do in our society. So when you talk about national development, you are looking at your own life and observing whether there's any kind of development. And I know there are many excuses that we can come up with, and sometimes legitimately so, because sometimes we are plagued with constant situations and circumstances which we didn't desire in the first place. But you see, although you may be right in your justification, you still need to understand that the drive for change begins by, first of all, adding value to yourself. Can we agree on that? Yes. So imagine a man like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah came out all the way from the UK to Ghana to want to champion a cause for national independence. He didn't come in isolation of his qualification. He actually came in his qualification. In other words, he came in a form of value. And so this morning, as we are gathered here, Whilst we are asking the questions, what can we do to enhance participation in the growth of our nation? The first question that I'm throwing to you is that you must leave here asking yourself, what must be my value? So that my value gives me a voice, and that voice opens me up to the influence of the nation.
That must be at the forefront of our efforts to build a more just and prosperous society. Gender inclusiveness refers to the integration of both men and women in all aspects of economic and social life, ensuring that they have equal opportunities and access to resources. Our quest to ensure that all citizens benefit from economic growth and development is not just a lofty ideal, but an economic and moral imperative for our generation and the next generation. Our current Ghanaian landscape has shown resilience and growth through significant social strides in recent years. And I dare say we have made progress as a country in reducing poverty. However, we must ask ourselves whether this progress has been equally experienced by all. The unfortunate truth is that in most parts of the world, women and the youth still face disparate challenges. These are evident in, but not limited to these instances. Women are more likely to work in informal, low-paying jobs. Young women are more likely to drop out of school early. Women are underrepresented in leadership positions in both the public and private sectors. These disparities are societal issues that affect us all. Let me be clear. Gender equality is not just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. When we empower women and the youth, economies grow. There's been some statistics that shows that if women participated in economy identically to men, it could add $28 trillion to global annual GDP by 2025. Accordingly, McKinsey also did a gender gap analysis and says that in Africa, if women were participating actively and the gender gap was closed in the workforce, we would add $3.1 trillion to the GDP of Africa by 2025. This makes it important for us to know that gender equality, inclusiveness is key to drive the future.
It is both an honor and a profound responsibility to stand before you today at the National Emerging Leaders Economic Forum 2024. We gather here not just as representatives of various sectors, but as custodians of our nation's future. Our youths, our innovators, our change makers. Today we find ourselves at a critical juncture in Ghana's history. The world is changing rapidly, and with it, the challenges we face are becoming more complex. Yet, amidst these challenges lies an immense opportunity, a chance for us to reshape our economic landscape, to build a resilient future, and to empower our youth. As we navigate the complexities of a multipolar world, the need for sustainable economic growth has never been more pressing. Emerging leaders like you hold the key to transforming challenges into opportunities. In this dynamic environment, it is vital that we not only embrace innovation, but also commit ourselves to sustainable practices that safeguards the future generations. Your role as emerging leaders is vital. You are the visionaries who harness collaborations, drive impactful change, and lead with both purpose and integrity. Together, we can develop solutions that are not only economically beneficial, but also socially responsible, ensuring that growth enhances the quality of life for all. Let us lead boldly in this multifaceted landscape, championing sustainable as a cornerstone of our decisions and actions. The responsibility lies with us to forge a path towards a resilient and inclusive economy, proving that emerging leaders are not just participants in the journey. You are the architect of our shared future.